my dear students, welcome to Teacher at Home. Today class we are going to learn the 8th chapter, Recent Developments in Indian Politics. Context of the 90s. You have read in the last chapter that Rajiv Gandhi became the Prime Minister after the assassination of Indira Gandhi. He led the Congress to a massive victory in the Lok Sabha elections held immediately thereafter in 1984. As the decade of the 80s came to be close, the country witnessed five developments that were to make a long lasting impact on our politics. First, the most crucial development of this period was the defeat of the Congress Party in the elections held in 1989. The party that had won as many as 415 seats in the Lok Sabha in 1984 was reduced to only 197 in this election. The Congress improved the performance and came back to power soon after the midterm elections held in 1991. But the elections of 1989 marked the end of what political scientists have called the Congress system. To be sure, the Congress remained an important party and ruled the country more than any other party even in this period since 1989. But it lost the kind of centrality it earlier enjoyed in the party system. Second development was the rise of the mental issue in national politics. This followed the decisions by the new National Front government in 1990 to implement the recommendation of the Mandal Commission that jobs in central government should be reserved for the other backward classes. This led to violent anti-Mandal protests in different parts of the country. This dispute between the supporters and opponents of OBC reservations was known as the Mandal issue and was to play an important role in shaping politics since 1989. Caste no bar, class no bar, and Amul no bar, even Mendel's choice. I wish to be sure if this phenomenon would have a long term effect. Third, the economic policy followed by the various governments took a radically different turn. This is known as the initiation of the structural adjustment program or the new economic reforms started by Rajiv Gandhi. These changes first became very visible in 1991 and radically changed the direction that the Indian economy had pursued since independence. These politics have been widely criticized by various movements and organizations, but the various governments that came to power in this period have continued to follow this. I'm not clear if this will make a difference in politics, especially if everyone has the same policy. Fourth, a number of events culminated in the demolition of the disputed structure of Ayodhya known as Babri Masjid in December 1992. This event symbolized and triggered various changes in the politics of the country and intensified debates about the nature of Indian nationalism and secularism. These developments are associated with the rise of the BJP and the politics of Hindutva. Ishwar, Allah Tero Naam, Sabko Sanmati De Bhagwan. Finally, the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi in May 1991 led to a change in leadership of the Congress party. He was assassinated by a Sri Lankan Tamil linked to the LTTE when he was on the election campaign tour in Tamil Nadu. In the elections of 1991, Congress emerged as the single largest party. Following Rajiv Gandhi's death, the party chose Narasimha Rao as the Prime Minister. Era of coalitions. Coalitions, that is, elections in 1989 led to the defeat of the Congress party but did not result in the majority for any other party. Though the Congress was the largest party in the Lok Sabha, it did not have a clear majority and therefore it decided to sit in the opposition. The National Front, which itself was an alliance of Janata Dal and some other regional parties, received support from two diametrically opposite political groups, the BJP and the Left Front. On the basis, the National Front formed a coalition government, but the BJP and the Left Front did not join in this government. They said they all support the government from outside. Decline of Congress. The defeat of the Congress party marked the end of the Congress dominance over the Indian party system. Do you remember the discussion in chapters about the restoration of the Congress system? Way back in the late 60s, the dominance of the Congress party was challenged, but the Congress, under the leadership of Indira Gandhi, managed to re-establish its predominant position in politics. The 90s saw yet another challenge in the predominant positions of the Congress. It did not, however, mean the emergence of any other single party to fill its place. Thus began an era of multi-party system. To be sure, a large number of political parties always contested elections in our country. Our parliament always had representatives from several political parties. What happened after 1989 was the emergence of several parties in such a way that one of or two parties did not get most of the votes or seats. This also means that no single party secured a clear majority of seats in any Lok Sabha elections held since 1989 till 2014. This development initiated an era of coalition governments at the center, in which national parties played a crucial role in forming ruling alliances. But in 2014 and 2019 Lok Sabha election, the BJP got clear majority of its own. Talk to the parents about the memories of the events happening since the 1990s. Ask them what they felt were the most significant events of the period. Sit together in groups and draw a comprehensive list of the events reported by your parents. See which events get cited most and compare them and with the chapter suggested were the most significant. You may also discuss why some events are more important for some and not for others. Alliance politics. The 90s also saw the emergence of powerful parties and movements that represented the Dalit and backward caste, other backward classes or OBCs. Many of the parties represented powerful regional assertion as well. These parties played an important role in the United Front government that came to power in 1996. The United Front was similar to the National Front of 1989, for it included Janata Dal and several regional parties. This time, the BJP did not support the government. The United Front government was supported by the Congress. This shows how unstable the political equations were. In 1989, both the left and the BJP supported the National Front government because they wanted to keep the Congress out of power. 1996, the left continued to support the non-Congress government, but the time the Congress supported it as both the Congress and the left wanted to keep the BJP out of power. They did not succeed for long, as the BJP continued to consolidate its position in the elections of 1991 and 96. It emerged as the largest party in 1996 elections and was invited to form the government. But most of the parties were opposed to the politics, and therefore the BJP government could not secure the majority in the Lok Sabha. It finally came to power by leading a coalition government from May 1998 to June 1999 and was re-elected in October 1999. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister during both his NDA governments, and his government formed in 1999 completed its full term. Okay, a cartoonist depictions of the change from one party dominance to a multi-party alliance system. Thus, with the elections of 1989, a long phase of coalition politics began in India. Since then, there have been 11 governments at the center, all of which had been coalition governments or majority governments supported by other parties. We did not join the government. This new phase, any government could be formed only with the participation or support of many regional parties. This applied to the National Front in 1989, the United Front in 1996 and 1997, the NDA in 1997, the BJP-led coalition in 1998, the NDA in 1999, the UPA in 2004 and 2009. However, this trend changed in 2014. Let us connect the development with what we have learned so far. The era of coalition governments may be seen as a long-term trend resulting from relatively silent changes that were taking place over the last few decades. We saw in Chapter 2 that in earlier times it was the Congress party itself that was a coalition of different interests and different social strata and groups. This gave rise to the term Congress system. Central governments since 1989. So here are the pictures of the period they had been formed. It is given here. See here VP Singh, Narasimha Rao, Devagowda, Vajpayee, Chandrasekhar Vajpayee, Gujral, Manmohan Singh and Narendra Modi have been given here. We also saw in chapters that, especially since the late 1980s, various elections sections had been leaving the Congress fold and forming separate political parties of their own. We also noted the rise of many regional parties in the period after 1977. While these developments weakened the Congress party, they did not enable any single party to replace the Congress. Political rise of other backward classes. On long-term development of this period was the rise of other backward classes as a political force. You have already come across this term OBC. This refers to the administrative category of the backward classes. These are communities other than SC and ST who suffer from educational and social backwardness. These are also referred to as backward caste. We already noted in chapter 6 that the support of the Congress among many sections of the backward caste have declined. This created a space for non-Congress parties that drew more support from the communities. You would recall that the rise of the parties first found political expressions at the national level in the form of the Janata Party government in 1977. Many of the constituents of the Janata Party, like the Bharatiya Kranti Dal and the Samyukta Socialist Party, had a powerful rural base among some sections of the OBC. Mandal implemented. In the 1980s, the Janata Dal brought together a similar combination of the political groups with strong support from the OBC. The decisions of the National Front government to implement the recommendations of the Mandal Commission further helped in shaping the politics of other backward classes. The intense national debate for and against the reservation of jobs made people from the OBC communities more aware of their identity. Thus, those who wanted to mobilize the groups in politics. Spirit saw the emergence of many parties that sought better opportunities for OBCs education, in education and employment, and also raised the question of the shares of power enjoyed by the OBCs. These parties claimed that since OBCs constituted a large segment of Indian society, it was only democratic that the OBCs should get adequate representation in administration and have their due support share of political power. The Mandal Commission. Reservations of the OBCs were in existence in the southern states since the 1960s, if not earlier. But this policy was not operative in North Indian states. It was during the tenure of Janata Party government in 1977 to 79 that the demand for reservations of backward castes in North India at the national level was strongly raised. Karpuri Thakur, then the Chief Minister of Bihar, was a pioneer in this direction. His government had introduced a new policy of reservations for the OBCs in Bihar. Following this, central government appointed a commission in 1978 to look into and recommend ways to improve the conditions of the backward classes. This was the second time since independence that the government had appointed such a commission. Therefore, this commission was officially known as the Second Backward Classes Commission. Popularly, the commission is known as the Mandal Commission after the name of its chairperson, Vindeshwari Prasad Mandal. The Mandal Commission was set up to investigate the extent of educational and social backwardness among various sections of Indian society and recommend ways to identifying the backward classes. It was also expected to give its recommendations on the ways in which this backwardness could be ended. The Commission gave its recommendation in 1980, but the Janata government had fallen. The Commission advised that backward classes should be understood to mean backward caste, since many castes other than the scheduled castes were also treated as low in the caste hierarchy. The Commission did a survey and found that the backward class had a very low presence in both educational institutions and the employment in public services. It therefore recommended reserving 27% of seats in educational institutions and government jobs for these groups. Mandal Commission also made many other recommendations like land reform to improve the condition of the OBCs. In August 1990, the National Front government decided to implement one of the recommendations of the Mandal Commission pertaining to reservations of OBCs in jobs in the central government and its undertakings. The decisions sparked agitations and violent protests in many cities of North India. The decisions also challenged the Supreme Court came to be known as the Indira Samve case, after the name of these petitioners. In November 1992, the Supreme Court gave a ruling upholding the decisions of the government. There were some differences among political parties about the manner of implementation of the decision, but now the policy of reservation for OBCs has support for all the major political parties of the country. Political fallouts. The 1980s also saw the rise of political organizations of the Dalits. In 1978, the backward and minority communities Employees Federation (BAMSF) was formed. This organization was not an ordinary trade union of government employees. It took a strong position in favor of political power to the Bahujan, the SC, ST, OBC, and minorities. It was out of this that subsequent Dalit Shoshit Samaj, Sangharsh Samiti, and later the Bahujan Samaj Party emerged under the leadership of Kanshiram. The BSP began as a small party supported largely by the Dalit voters in Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh, but in 1989 and 1991 elections, it achieved a breakthrough in Uttar Pradesh. This was the first time in independent India that a political party supported mainly by Dalit voters had achieved this kind of political success. In fact, the BSP, under Kanshiram's leadership, was envisaged as an organization based on pragmatic, pragmatic politics. It derived confidence from the fact that Bahujans, SC, ST, and OBC, and religious minorities constituted the majority of the population and were a formidable political force in the strength of their numbers. Since the BSP Since the BSP has emerged as a major political player in the state and has been in government on more than one occasion, its strongest support still comes from the Dalit voters. But it has expanded the support now to various other political groups, social groups. In many parts of India, Dalit politics and OBC politics had developed and to completion independently and often in competition with each other. Then next it is the communalism, secularism, and democracy. The other long term development during this period was the rise of politics based on religious identity, leading to a debate about secularism and democracy. We noted in Chapter 6 that in the aftermath of the emergency, the Bharatiya Janata Sangh had emerged into Janata Party after the fall of the Janata Party and its breakup. The supporters, or else while Jana Singh, formed the Bharatiya Janata Party BJP in 1980. Initially, the BJP adopted a broader political platform than that of the Jana Singh. It embraced Gandhian socialism as its ideology, but it did not get much success in the elections held in 1980 1984. After 1986, the party began to emphasize the Hindu nationalist element in its ideology. The BJP pursued the politics of Hindutva and adopted the strategy of mobilizing the Hindus. Hindutva literally means Hinduness and was defined by the originator, V.D. Savarkar, as the basis of Indian, in the language also Hindu, nationhood. It basically meant that to the members of the Indian nation, everyone must not only accept India as their fatherland but also as a holy land. Believers of Hindutva argue that a so strong nation can be built only on the basis of a strong and united national culture. They also believe that in the case of India, the Hindu culture alone can provide its base. The two developments around 1986 began central to the politics of BJP as the Hindutva party. The first was the Sav Bano case in 1985. In this case, a 62-year-old divorced Muslim woman had filed a case of maintenance from their former husband. The Supreme Court ruled in the favor. The Orthodox Muslims saw the Supreme Court's order as an interference in Muslim personal law. On the demand of the Muslim leaders, the government passed the Muslim Women Protection of Rights on the Divorce Act 1986 that nullified the Supreme Court's judgment. This action of the government was opposed by many women's organizations, many Muslim groups, and most of the intellectuals. The BJP criticized this action of the Congress government as an unnecessary concession and appeasement of the minority community. Ayodhya dispute. The second development was the order by the Firsiabad District Court in February 1986. The court ordered the Babri Masjid premises be unlocked so the Hindus could offer prayers at the site, which they consider as a temple. A dispute has been going on for many decades over the mosque known as Babri Masjid at Ayodhya. The Babri Masjid was 16th century mosque in Ayodhya and was built by Mir Baki, Mughal Emperor Babur's general. Some Hindus believe that it was built after demolishing a temple for Lord Rama in what is believed to be his birthplace. The dispute took the form of a court case and has continued for many decades. In the late 1940s, the mosque was locked up as the matter was with the court. As soon as the locks of the Babri Masjid were opened, mobilization began on both sides. Many Hindu and Muslim organizations tried to mobilize their communities on this question. Suddenly, this local dispute became a major national question and led to communal tensions. The BJP made the issue its major electoral and political plan. Along with many other organizations like the RSS and the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, it convened a series of symbolic and mobilizational programs. This large scale mobilization led to subcharged atmosphere and many instances of communal violence. The BJP, in order to generate the public support, took out a massive march called the Rath Rath Yatra from Somnath in Gujarat to Ayodhya in UP. Demolish, demolish, Demolition and after. In December 1992, the organization supporting the construction of the temple had organized a Seva, meaning voluntary service by the devotees, for building the Ram temple. The situation, that is Ayodhya's BJP, was miscalculation, Vajpayee had warned Advani, but no place for moderates, laments verted. Demolish- Demolition, no cause for remorse, Advani, violent reaction world over, had become tense all over the country, especially at Ayodhya. The Supreme Court had ordered the state government to take care that the disputed site will not be endangered. However, thousands of people gathered from all over the country at Ayodhya on 6 December 1992 and demolished the mosque. This nearly led to clashes between the Hindus and Muslims in many parts of the country. The violence in Mumbai erupted again in January 1993, continued for over 2 weeks. The events at Ayodhya led to a series of other developments. A state government with the BJP as the ruling party was dismissed by the center. Along with that, other states where the BJP was in power were also put under president's rule. A case against the chief minister in Uttar Pradesh was registered in the Supreme Court for contempt of court since he had given an undertaking that the disputed structure will be protected. The BJP officially expressed regret over the happenings at Ayodhya. The central government appointed a commission to investigate into the circumstances leading to the demolition of the mosque. Most political parties condemned the demolition and declared that this was against the principles of secularism. This led to a serious debate over secularism and posed the kind of questions our country faced immediately after partition. Was India going to be the country where the majority religious community dominated over the minorities? Or would India continue to offer equal protection of law and equal citizenship right to all Indians irrespective of their religion? During this time, there has been a debate about using religious sentiments for electoral purposes. India's democratic politics is based on the premise that all religious communities enjoy the freedom that they may join any party and there will not be community based political parties. This democratic atmosphere of communal amenity has faced many challenges since 1984. As we have read in chapter 8, this happened in 1984 in the form of anti Sikh riots. In February March 2002, similar violence broke out against the Muslims in Gujarat. Such violence against the minority community and violence between two communities is a threat of democracy. Emergence of a new consensus. The period after 1989 to be in sometimes as the period of decline of Congress and the rise of BJP. If you want to understand the complex nature of political competition in this period, you have to compare the electoral performances of the Congress and the BJP. Party position, number of seats won in Lok Sabha. Now let us try to understand the meaning of the information given in the figure. We will notice the BJP and Congress were engaged in a tough competition in this period. What is the difference between the electoral fortunes If you compare this with the 1984 elections, you will notice that since the 1989 election, the votes polled by the two parties, Congress and the BJP, do not add up to more than 50%. The seats won by them too do not add up to more than half the seats in the Lok Sabha. So, where did the rest of the votes and seats go? Look at both the charts showing Congress and Janata family of parties, which among the parties that exist today are neither part of the Congress family of parties nor part of Janata party or parties. The political competition during the 90s is divided between the coalition led by BJP and the coalition led by the Congress. Can you list the parties that are not part of these two coalitions? Lok Sabha elections 2004. In the election 2004, the Congress party too entered into coalitions in a big way. NDA was defeated and a new coalition government led by the Congress known as the United Progressive Alliance came to power. This government received support from the left front parties. Elections of 2004 also witnessed the partial revival of Congress party. It would increase its seats for the first time since 1991. However, in the 2004 elections, there was a negligible difference between the votes polled by the Congress and its allies and the BJP and its allies. Thus, the party system has now changed almost dramatically from what it was till the 70s. The political processes that are unfolding around us after the 1990s show the emergence of broadly four groups of parties: parties that are in coalition with the Congress, parties that are in alliance with the BJP, left front parties, and the other parties who are not part of any of these, any of the three. Situation suggests that political competition must be multi-cornered, but implication the situation also assumes a divergence of political ideologies, growing consensus. However, on many crucial issues, a broad agreement has emerged among most parties. In the midst of severe competition and many conflicts, a consensus appears to have emerged among most parties. This consensus consisted of four elements. First, agreement on new economic policies. While many groups are opposed to a new economic policies, most political parties are in support of the new economic policies. Most parties believe that these policies would lead to the country to prosperity and a status of economic power in the world. Second, acceptance of the political and social claims of the backward caste. Political parties have recognized the social and political claims of the backward caste need to be accepted. As a result, all political parties now support reservation of seats of the backward classes in education and employment. Political parties are also willing to ensure that the OBCs get adequate share of power. Third, acceptance of the role of state level parties in governance of the country. The distinction between state level and national level parties is fast becoming less important. As we saw in this Lok Sabha election results, NDA, UPA, left parties, and others. Chapter state level parties are sharing power at the national level and have played a central role in the country's politics of last 20 years or so. Fourth, emphasis on pragmatic considerations rather than ideological positions and political alliances without ideological agreement. Coalition politics have shifted the focus of political parties from ideological differences to power sharing the arrangements. The small parties of the NDA did not agree with the Hindutva ideology of the BJP. Yet they came together to form a government and remain in power of a full term. All these are momentous changes and are going to shape politics in the near future. We started this study of politics in India with the discussion of how the Congress emerged as a dominant party. From that situation, we are now arrived at a more competitive politics that is based on a certain implicit agreement among the main political actors. Thus, even as political parties act within the sphere of the consensus, popular movements and organizations are simultaneously identifying new forms, visions, and pathways of development. Issues like poverty, displacement, minimum wages, livelihood, and social security are being put on the political agenda by the people's movements, reminding the state of its responsibility. Similarly, the issues of justice, democracy are being voiced by the people in terms of class, caste, gender, regions. We cannot predict the future of democracy. All we know is the democratic politics is here to stay in India and that it will unfold through a continuous turning some of the factors mentioned in this chapter. Party position in the 17th Lok Sabha. See here, Bharatiya Janata Party 303, Indian National Congress 52, Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam 24, Shiva Sena 18, Janata Dal 16, Biju Janata Dal 12, Bahujan Samaj Party 10, other parties 108. And here is a exercise that you have to do. Okay, so that's all about this chapter. If you are interested, please do like, share and subscribe my channel. Okay, thank you.